Hello and welcome, crypto fans, to Solid Link Blockchain and Crypto News, the best, simply the best crypto news video blog on the web. We've got a super interesting episode for you today. We've got lots of rumors flying around about major retailers accepting Bitcoin, another fork to Bitcoin Gold, and things are going down in Asia, monitoring in Korea, accounts closed in Singapore. It's crazy stuff. And of course, ICOs, and more ICO craze that's going on. And we've got some news of a super cool, super fast Litecoin miner. But without further ado, let's get the show moving. First up, we've got some unverified rumors that have been circulating in the web that Amazon is going to start accepting Bitcoin by October. How true this is, only time will tell. We will find out. And as usual, where there's smoke, there's generally fire. So I would expect one of the major US retailers, if not online present stores, to start accepting Bitcoin soon. We will see how true it is soon enough. There is not much information on this article, just essentially that it's been reported on the web, and there's been some surveys floating around whether or not Bitcoin will be accepted. And also a recent comment with Google API tutorial is many to believe that online behemoth will also begin in accepting Bitcoin with Google Store as PayPal and others already do. So if this happens, it's gonna be crazy. Bitcoin price through the roof. Trust me. Hang on to your coins. Hang on to your coins. Moving forward, we've got news of another Bitcoin fork, and this time it's going to be called Bitcoin Gold. Really? Another fork? And this is now scheduled even before the November split, where SegWit 2x is expected to be implemented or not. It's scheduled for October 25, and the news coming out is that they are trying to actually get Bitcoin decentralized again by actually changing the algorithm from SHA-256 to Equihash, which will be more GPU friendly. This could be a major change in the game, and I still reckon Bitcoin Core, as it's known, the original one, will still stay strong. But should they decide to fork the Bitcoin Cash version, this could put a major dent in Bitcoin Cash, and it will be a direct competitor to Bitcoin Cash. I like the idea of decentralizing again by going GPU mining, although it does reduce the network security provided by the ASIC and the Bitcoin Core algorithm, and which I believe is also why the price is so high. Purely because if anyone wanted to take over the network, it would be just too expensive. Even though the network itself is worth billions and billions, how much you'd have to spend just to build up the firepower to create a 51% attack is just ridiculous. Whether this fork actually happens or not, it will be interesting. And as you can see, they still say that there's a lot of unknowns. There's no clear where the code base will come from, and there's only a pseudonym of the lead developer, so not everybody knows who's behind what and how things will unfold in the coming weeks. But this will be an interesting little development to keep an eye on, and I for one am all for forks as long as they give me more coins. Moving forward, Korea is gonna start on-site inspections of Bitcoin exchanges. As we've spoken before, the Koreans are very proactive and welcoming to the Bitcoin people that have been kicked out of China, and it only makes sense that they put in some more inspection. And in the article they actually detail that this check is actually due to increased user damage due to hacking, and they're actually going to be trying to work out with the people that run the exchanges how to reduce the risk and also look at the security vulnerabilities which may exist on the exchanges. And as you know, there is efforts to actually regulate in Korea, and a task force was set up in July to evaluate the needs for regulation. So this looks like a proactive move by the Korean government to help along the fledgling industry of cryptocurrencies, and I for one see it as a positive. I'm actually very happy with the auditing of the Bitcoin exchanges. I personally feel all of them should actually submit to some form of auditing, so that you don't have the Mount Gox type scenario where it's not clear when the coins were lost, who's the responsible party, and so on and so forth. Yeah. While next door in Singapore, Bitcoin based startups are struggling with account closures. On reading the article, it seems like it wasn't really related to Bitcoin startup only, but more along the crypto related industry as such. And most of the struggling companies have contacted the Singapore Cryptocurrency Blockchain as Industry Association, known as Access, for assistance. And one of the affected ones is CoinHako, who has actually stopped accepting Singapore dollars while they try to sort out an account somewhere else. According to their statement, they hope to be up and running in 3 weeks again. But if this is the current trend in Singapore, I wouldn't be surprised even if the next bank that they go to actually does the same, because banks generally tend to follow other banks, and there could be something coming from higher powers, but just not upfront like the Chinese, where they're saying, sorry, you cannot do that. And here it's just underhanded tactics. So it would be interesting to see if any of these Singapore fintech companies would get in touch with some of the finance minister or ministerial personnel to find out exactly why are they being victimized and what exactly is going on. Onto Ethereum. Bread Wallet, now known as Bread, has actually done a major upgrade recently on the iOS web app platform, and now they're gonna add Ethereum and ICO tokens so that people can actually manage all that in one place. This is a great move by Bread. It's gonna simplify the coin management for a lot of people that use this app. Now they can go with one app, and I think it's the future. I'm very happy for them, and I hope they actually do well with this move. And it's just overall user friendly, ease of use. Maybe one of the days I'll actually review the spread up and see how it actually looks and how the coin transfers and all that stuff works. But we'll keep an eye on that. While on ICO and Ethereum, news coming out of the Kick ICO is that they actually fell short of their target. Their target had originally been 125 million, but seems they only gathered 98 million, which is about 25% shy of target, even though they had over 10,000 people from 117 countries participate. My gut actually tells me that the reason they fell short is because of their closed registration process, where you had to submit proof of ID and a photo of yourself and residence and all that stuff, which at current stage in most of the crypto industry, especially the whales, I would think are not really keen on showing their hand as to how much crypto they hold, as that could expose them to tax in future. So I'm not surprised that they fell short, but it's still a very good lump sum to raise anyway. I don't see anywhere where you just go raise 100 million for free. as not much was promised in their actually ICO in terms of what the Kick token, what will be the benefits of holding the Kick token. But nonetheless, it's a good sum, and let's see what comes out of the Kick token. Onto one of the stories that I've been monitoring, the Raiden network token. They've basically given more details on to how it's gonna work and how they plan on implementing it, and they're trying to shy away from using it as a gas token. Basically, if you're running on the Raiden network token, they're hoping to use a free model, and this token really won't be needed by users to use the network, rather maybe more by the apps that are actually running on the network, so that it's much easier for the user to join the network. They put some details in terms of to how they see the things looking. Here's an evaluation of the stakeholders, which will be the users as light clients, which won't hold much stuff. Then there'll be full nodes who will be interacting with each other on the Raiden network and Ethereum also. And then there'll be some client gateway services, some monitoring services and pathfinding services, and of course third-party application builders, developers, and the utility of the token. This is the interesting part if you are into ICO, where there's just a brief summary, and I'll read it for you quickly. That while the Raiden network token protocol does not enforce mandatory fees, at its core, the system can provide a better user experience if auxiliary services provided by full nodes are used. Having a common token for remuneration of these services is important. Acceptance of a common currency allows the services to cooperate efficiently, allows users to use their channels with service providers for multiple tokens, and enables availability of services for token networks which are not widely accepted for payments. So in summary, when I read this, they basically state that having the Raiden network token standardizes in terms of that third-party application providers having to pay for the pathfinding services, or even the full node operators, which will assist in pushing the transactions back and forth on the Raiden network. How I see it, these full node operators and third-party applications will be like the master nodes that we talked about yesterday's in terms of the Dash aspect, as they will provide the backbone of the Raiden network, allowing people living on mobile or tablets to actually use the Raiden network without having to have the full blockchain, but still get the full functionality of the network. There's also an FAQ at the bottom which explains how and what they see things working. And one of the interesting ones, again, if you're an ICO person, is how does the token have value? And basically it has value as the auxiliary services in the system are remunerated in R&D tokens, and users who do not run full set of services therefore stock the token. Essentially that means those D-apps and all those will be liable for potentially the R&D token. Maybe let's say every million transactions they have to pay 1 R&D tokens to the service providers that are running the full nodes, and so on and so forth. This will be interesting. I'm pretty keen on the concept itself. I would like to see some more detail around how the whole network works and how the full nodes will fit in, and the security, of course, as they basically will be off-chain now, so you need that security to be very, very strong. While I was there, I actually found something else that was interesting, which is also along the Raiden network line, which is called the Trustlines network, which was basically a way for 1 or 2 or more people to actually offer each other lines of credit. So essentially, if you and a friend hold certain tokens, let's say of Ethereum, you are now able to give your friend a line of credit in those tokens, so that should he ever need, basically he's able to spend X amount of euros. Currently they're looking at, in terms of euro, USD and RMB, in terms of the test networks, and how the limits will be set as to how much you allow your friends to use up and pay. And I'll put a link to this article, which is quite interesting, and there's a very nice video also detailing how the app works. I thought it was pretty interesting and very nice. If you just jump around here, you can see basically they're already showing a nice little mobile app with ability to scan and interact together. So they seem to be going pretty well with their proof of concept, and it looks like it's got great potential. And while browsing around, I was interested to find out that actually the Raiden network and the Trustlines network is actually coming from more or less the same group of people, and they are called BrainBots. Essentially, BrainBots is a technology company, and they've also part of the Ethereum Alliance, and they're one of the core founding members, and they've also contributed greatly to the Ethereum source code in the past. So they're very keen on Ethereum, and they're very big promoters. As you can see, the Raiden network is their project. There's a RaidX decentralized exchange, and the Trustlines network is also there, and they've also done a Hydra chain before. And there's the bit about the Ethereum code development. And also I had a look at the RaidX page, but there's not much there, as I'm not sure if it's actually dependent on the Raiden network, hence the name RaidX. And when I looked at the actual timelines of the project, they seem to be a little bit behind as to what they predicted is when they'll be ready. But it'll be interesting to see if this actually takes off, and if they can get the Raiden network up and going. Onto now the mining side of things. Hyperbit announced a retail partnership with L21 for the Litecoin miner. So these guys are going to be their distributors for their latest and greatest ASIC script miner. And as you can see, it's the fastest so far on the market, and it's developed and manufactured by BW, and it's got a pretty slim chip, and it's got a very good hash rate. So I thought I'll head over to the shop and see what's the going rate. But sadly, when I got there, the price looks alright, but as you can see, out of stock. As usual with all this mining stuff, the moment it's available, it's snapped up. The whales are ready and waiting to snap it up, and it's all gone. And last but not least, onto our educational piece of what exactly is a fork. Yep, what is a cryptocurrency fork? In a high level view, in terms of the blockchain, which is the ledger that keeps a history of all the transactions and who holds how many coins in what wallet, a fork is essentially when you get two parallel chains running at the same time, where essentially the blocks are not the same, but the level or the number is actually the same. How this can happen is sometimes there's two possibilities, which is one is an accidental fork, where maybe a new version is released, and then in that new version it does not support the previous version. Therefore, those who have updated go create a new chain, while those who did not update continue running on the old chain. And there's also a second one, which is a hard fork, which was what we spoke about in the beginning, where the Bitcoin Gold guys actually want to take the original software and make a complete copy and then continue and run the chain differently. This will be interesting to see, especially with the Bitcoin Gold fork, as they're changing even the core mining algorithm, as that's quite a major change, and it should not be easy to implement smoothly without hiccups. But a fork is a major hiccup anyway, a hard fork one especially, so I'm sure the guys will be prepared for that and any eventualities. Onto our market report, and look at that. Hey, we are green and over $4,000. Is it the news out of Korea? Is it the news that Amazon is going to accept Bitcoin? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. But for now, everything is green on the board in the top 25, except Kyber Network and possibly ARC. But besides that, we won't consider Tether. But besides that, everything looks rosy so far today, and we've got a nice spike. And is it back to 5,000? Only time will tell. Tomorrow we'll check and see where we are. But things are looking up again in the Bitcoin world. It's PM for Solid Link episode 10. I'm out. Peace.